Today, cities face an unprecedented collision of crises, unlike the world has ever seen before.
Sea levels will rise, places will get drier and wetter, smog, deforestation, loss of resources, drought affecting millions of people and millions of animals.
You can't fool Mother Nature, and those patterns keep emerging. And unless we pay attention to those patterns, we're actually likely to shoot ourselves in the foot.
This cascade of systemic failures calls for leaders everywhere to adapt and dodge the worst-case scenarios from these unmitigated risks.
There's two things that humans need. We need nutrients and we need shelter. And guess how we're destroying the world? Through our nutrient system, our agricultural system, and our sheltering systems. We need to reverse both of those so that we are healing the earth through those systems.
Humanity is in a make it or break it moment.
Regenerative development is not developing buildings, it's developing new potential.
It's bringing what we know, which is all good, the engineering, the linear thinking, the mechanistic thinking, and saying there's something bigger, there's something more we can do, there's more to this system.
By 2050, over 2/3 of the world will live in cities. From the way we take taxis to the way we pay for groceries, from booking hotels to insuring our homes, technology is transforming everything.
The places we live, the ecosystems that we're part of are all evolving. Towards what is the question, and how do we work with that way of thinking and becoming and being?
But there is reason for hope. Over 77 countries and 100+ cities have committed to reaching net zero carbon emissions by 2050. The Biden administration earmarked $2 trillion for a climate-focused infrastructure plan and rejoined the Paris Climate Accord. EU leaders have committed to reducing emissions 55% by 2030.
Life does recover. Nature does not compromise. Nature harmonizes and reconciles. So regeneration means that we are rebirthing our relationship with life so that we actually make decisions that are congruent with that place.
Within nature there is change all the time, and nature survives that change, and it does that by having lots of niches, lots of opportunities for things to bubble up and take over from other things that might be in decline.
There are experiments in regenerative development underway all over the world, and whilst we don't have all of the answers, we're becoming more effective at asking the right questions. How do we maximize the built environment for well-being and improvement of health? How do we facilitate greater cross-sector dialogue and coordination? How do we 3D print buildings to cut down costs and house all of our citizens? How do we integrate green spaces and biophilic design into our homes, workspaces, and communities? How do we implement alternate financing and ownership models to assure social equity? How do we transition our cities off fossil fuels to renewable energy? How do we transition public transport fleets to electric? How do we reduce waste and create circular economies? How do we design cities that are in harmony with nature and where all life thrives?
If we can actually get everybody, including the developer, to understand that they are equal stakeholders, no one's more important than the other, all in service of the larger system, that changes worlds.
You know the saying, give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. Teach him to fish and he'll eat for a lifetime. That's a very mechanistic way of thinking, right? Let's take the fish out of the ocean for our own benefit. Let's add to that, teach a man to love the ocean and they'll both thrive. And that's the bit of regenerative development, that teach the person to love their environment, teach that person to love their place, and they will both thrive.
The breadth and depth of these changes herald the transformation of life on Earth as we know it. We need to encourage our cross-sector leaders, investors, developers, policymakers, small business owners, citizens, community organizers, artists and academics to think more long-term and to embrace regeneration as the way forward. Achieving the Sustainable Development Goals means every town, every city, every school and home and park would beam with innovation and thriving life. Every person would belong and feel connected and share a unified purpose as conscious co-creators and stewards of Earth. We don't have all the answers, but together we become the solution. We are, and now you are, the future of cities.